All right, today I'm going to be presenting one of the elements of art that is often overlooked, and that is line. So, what is a line? Well, lines can begin as dots and move in any direction. They can be straight, curved, broken, actual lines, and implied lines. A line can represent the edges of things in an image. It can suggest depth and space to what you're drawing. It can show texture. It can describe movement. And it also is useful in creating values when we do techniques such as hatching or cross-hatching, which we'll get into when we talk about values. What a lot of students forget is that line is the essential building block an artist uses to define many of the other elements and principles of art that they're using within their artwork. So let's talk about the types of lines that we have and the terms that we use to describe them. And there are some terms that we use to describe the quality of a line, like broken lines or dotted lines. We can talk about curvilinear lines, which have swirling, curving edges to them, like the stuff that's kind of used in Celtic knotwork designs. There is organic lines that are kind of undefinable because of their random and natural positions that they take and directions that they decide to go in. There's the ever popular straight line, the wavy lines, zigzag lines, and I'm sure we can come up with more as well if we dive into it some more. There's also some terms that we use when we describe the direction of a line. The most commonly used ones are diagonal, horizontal, where you have a line going from side to side, and vertical lines. Diagonal lines, when we use them inside of artwork, tend to be more dynamic and give us a feeling of movement, which again is another principle of design. Whereas our horizontal and vertical lines, which run parallel to the edges of the paper traditionally, feel more static and don't move really at all. Other types of lines are contour lines that create the outlines or the outer edge of a shape or form, like this seahorse outline here. Contour lines are used to create shape, and they describe the outer edges of things. When you get into the interior details, that's where we use secondary contour or cross contour lines. Those create things like the eye here, or maybe some of the details we'd have on the inside. They also create the form of an object and help define it. So when you're using shading techniques, you might follow these cross contour lines to create the feeling of this depth of this surface. And then there's other more complex types of lines, like implied lines, as seen here in this Vincent van Gogh piece. Those are created by objects that are placed in alignment, broken line segments or things like that that suggest a line where none is actually drawn, which we can see along the top of these lampposts here. This creates this idea of a line that isn't actually here, but we can follow it with our eye. Then, of course, there's perspective lines. These are the ones that are used to create the illusion of depth on a two-dimensional plane, like a flat surface of paper. There is no miles of distance you can go when you're looking at a sheet of paper, but you can make it feel like there is. That's what that illusion of depth is. And these types of perspective lines head off towards a vanishing point along the horizon, which is, again, something we can cover in a later video. These lines are being used here in this piece of artwork. So when you're creating a piece of artwork, try to think about how you're working with line, and eventually it becomes something that you don't have to worry about as much. But when you start out making artwork, pay attention to where you're putting your lines, what directions you're going in, and how you are using them to define the things within your image. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. You can also subscribe to SterbART to be notified of the latest video uploads and to help support the channel. Keep learning, creating, and inspiring.